Good morning, Ugly Mug marketing friends and followers. Welcome to another edition of Ugly Mug Marketing Coffee Chats, the live show where we drink our coffee and chat about marketing, business, leadership, and everything in between. My name is Hannah Balia, and I'm the Director of Communications and Teaching here at Ugly Mug. And today I'm joined by my good friend, Ugly Mug Marketing longtime friend and client, Gary Perkins. Gary has been a small business owner since 1978. He worked in the restaurant industry while attending LSU and graduating with a BS in microbiology. So you're probably already wondering with that how we're getting to where we're going. Hang on, we're getting there. He bought his first restaurant, Louis Cafe, that same year that he graduated from LSU. And Gary has continued to be a serial entrepreneur focusing on the restaurant industry and also real estate and healthcare. He is the co-founder of Wildwood Pizza, which was named TripAdvisor's top pizza joint in the state of Louisiana by TripAdvisor in 2019. And that same year, Gary was recognized as Red River Bank's Entrepreneur of the Year at the Chamber Busy Awards. Gary serves on the Central Louisiana Homeless Coalition, and he has been involved in starting philanthropic athletic events, including the Indian Creek Triathlon, Red River Run, amongst others. And he is the co-founder of the Grand Rapids. Hello. Rapids Junior Runners Group. In 2006, he started business coaching with the Entrepreneurship Initiative launched by the Rapides Foundation. The Entrepreneurship Initiative uses a multifaceted approach that includes coaching, expert technical assistance, and classroom and web-based instruction to deliver the right content at the right time. And since 2011, the Business Acceleration System has worked with over 470 business owners, and that group has increased its revenues by 225 million and created 1,382 jobs with out-of-region sales in excess of 500 million. So Gary has stood alongside these people, helped them, coached them, guided them, been there for the highs and lows. And I am really excited for each and every one of you tuning in here live or catching the replay later to learn from Gary and all of his wisdom. Y'all, he was spitting so much truth at me before we even started going live. I really hope we get to dive into some of that. Welcome to the show today, Gary.
Thank you for having me, Hannah.
All right. So I'm going to just dive right into things today because everyone wants to be able to absorb as much as they can from you. Now, kind of that last part of your introduction was that you've worked with over 470 business owners. So you have probably seen your fair share of success, but also your fair share of failures and mistakes. What was the statistic that you told me about startups and people start beginning their entrepreneurship journey?
Over
It was like
90%, fail. Over 90% fail. So
Yeah.
in their first attempt.
Yeah. So what mistakes do you see entrepreneurs making early on in their journey that could cause them to be a part of that 90% failure statistic?
Right. Entrepreneurship is about failure. It's about learning from failure. And, I've had a lot of business failures, and I can only remember the failures. I rarely remember the successes. But along the way, we learn, as long as we learn from failures, you know, even catastrophic failures, it's got to be, if you're going to stay in this game and be in entrepreneurship, for your life, you've got to learn to overcome those failures. You're going to make mistakes. And so when I see people come into our classes, our startup classes, they've got this idea of this product and they think it's perfect and they think everybody's going to love it because their friends and family do. And the big mistake I see is them not being willing to pivot when they have misjudged either the marketplace, the size of the market, or where their product fits in the marketplace. Because your product can either be the highest quality, you can have the best service.
Yeah.
You can have the cheapest price, but you can't have all three. You can get by
Yeah.
on one of those. If you've got two of those, you really have a better chance of being successful. But they try to do all three of those. I try to have the highest quality, the best service, and the lowest price. And the math won't work on that. When you go to Walmart, the biggest corporation on the planet, nobody that's out there expects to have great service when they get there.
Yeah.
It's not.
But the cheapest price.
They have the cheapest price. They they don't hide that. They have it posted everywhere on every commercial inside the store. They live and die on the cheapest price. And so,
Yeah.
highest quality, that's another one. If you always have the highest quality, you cannot possibly be the cheapest.
Yeah.
And you probably don't
Yeah.
have the largest selection, which is part of service.
Yeah. So people come in, they have this great idea, they're unwilling to pivot. And you brought up a good point. All of their friends and family have told them that this is a great idea, this is a great product, this is a great service. Now, earlier this year, I had Wayne on the show. For those of you tuning in, Wayne is our founder of Ugly Mug Marketing. And one of the things that we talked about was the difference between advice and opinion. And somebody who has started a business or is in the same industry as that particular product or service, they're going to be able to give you advice on the marketplace. They're going to be able to give you advice, true advice on your product or on your service. Somebody who is simply just a friend or family member and has not lived through that shared experience, or who has never experienced entrepreneurship, who has never worked in your industry that you're trying to break into, it is merely their opinion. It is not true sound advice on how to navigate and how to move forward. So I think it's really helpful for you to kind of touch on that a little bit here today again, Gary, because I keep coming back to that in a lot of different ways with a lot of our clients. And we have to really be able to get into the minds of our customers or our prospective customers too, to really know if our product or service is really the greatest thing ever, or if there is room for pivot or shifting slightly so that we can meet the needs of those in the marketplace too. So love that you touch on that, and love the tie-in to Walmart, because there are a lot of brands. I'm sure, as you were talking about, someone who has the best service, someone who has the best price, yeah, it's really only kind of one of those categories, maybe two, like I'm thinking about, we've read and we've listened to a lot of podcasts about like the Ritz-Carlton hotel chains, and they have remarkable service, right? They are certainly not they are certainly not the cheapest hotel chain in the country either. And so making sure you're figuring out kind of what area you want to fall into and really clinging to that one thing sounds like it's a mistake that people make because they're trying to hold on to all three things.
Right. You got to create value for your customer, and you've got to concentrate on what that customer is looking for, which brings us to product market fit. And I see that all the time is a big issue that folks aren't thinking about. Is everybody doesn't want my product. We'll have a startup class and I'll go around and get people to describe their product. And they always, when I ask them, who's your competition? They say, nobody. Like, wait a minute. You mean people are living in this country without having coffee, or or without having ice cream, or without having pizza? No, just because you aren't in that business yet, people are filling that need. So, I'm in the restaurant business. The grocery store is my biggest competitor.
Yeah.
It's all those people cooking at home. What in the world's up with that? So your competitor, not necessarily another restaurant. Nobody has enough seats to be your biggest competitor, but man, that grocery store, we need to shut those down.
Oh,
things.
Yeah, I'm like, how often we eat out in my household? I'm like, yeah, the grocery store.
Yeah.
I got something against the grocery store too, Gary.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that is all super helpful, because I think those are it sounds like they can be applicable across different industries too, no matter if you are selling a product or a service, whether you're in B2B space or B2C space too, kind of casting that wider net and that vision of who is truly filling the true need of what like when you're in the restaurant industry, you're feeding people. People are hungry, right? So it like that is the basic need that your product or service is fulfilling. So kind of getting down to like the nitty-gritty in that is really helpful.
Right. And all of the trappings that come with that, there's, so, when you had asked me this question earlier and I've been dodging it. So the three things, that I see people making mistakes is that product market fit. I mentioned that. And they also is they're not prepared physically and emotionally, and they don't have the knowledge they need. You need to prepare yourself physically because your body is going to be extremely tired. Startups are not 8-hour-a-day jobs. Startups are 18-hour-a-day jobs. And every time I open a new restaurant, I lose 20 pounds. I mean, and I'm go to the gym regularly. Think I'm in shape. I can run a marathon, but it's just the stress that it puts you through. So you have to be prepared physically. You have to take care of yourself, and you have to have a support group. You've got to have somebody to help you emotionally because the highs are incredibly high. It's addictive being successful, no matter what you're doing. But you've got to have somebody to help you when it's not so successful. And I've got to have somebody to talk to that's in business, because the point you made a while ago was people can give you opinions, but I need to talk to somebody that's been bankrupt. That's who I need to talk to. And I was very, very fortunate in my early career to have two incredible mentors that had been through the highest highs and the lowest lows. And, just that the value of that is you can't put a number on it. So having that support group, other business owners, and and you've got to have people that are helping you solve problems, but helping you get back up so you can be ready to go and tackle it the next day or the next week.
Yeah.
And then the last thing of those three are the knowledge of your industry. You have to commit yourself to lifetime learning, because you've got to learn finance, you've got to learn marketing, you've got to learn HR, and you've got to learn operations. And you need to be an expert at all four of those things. And you're not going to be when you get started, but you have to commit yourself to being an expert in all four of those areas, because most of us are not really interested. They're only interested in one of those things. I'm a great marketer. I'm a great, all right, I'm a whiz at the numbers. Okay, if your employees can't stand you, you're not going to be very successful. If I don't have any emotional intelligence, I'm going to be training workers the rest of my life. Or I can have long-term workers. And I've got to run a business that's profitable so I can pay them a living wage, and I need to keep them and retain them and take care of them and their families. And I don't want to hire new people. Keep the ones I got, and I want their lives to be better. And when they have hard times, I'm going to not fire them. I'm going to take care of them and get them out of that, and let's get back going again. So those are three things that people don't think about, but it's this commitment. You have to commit yourself to this lifetime learning, this preparing my body, preparing myself emotionally, which means I've got to have a support group.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that you bring that up, because a couple of weeks ago, I had Christy Pennison on the show from Be Inspired Counseling. And we were talking about the weightiness mentally and physically of being a true entrepreneur. And one thing that she really put an emphasis on was having that community of people that you can lean on in the hard times, that you can celebrate some of those little wins along the way with, because the celebrating is very important, but especially having a network of people that you can really lean on during those difficult times, or when you're navigating a new situation that maybe you haven't with an employee, or you're having to dive into some of the numbers that you haven't really taken time to dive into before. Who are those people that you can call and that you can lean on? Having that network is so important, because entrepreneurship is really a lonely place. Like, it is incredibly lonely. We talk about that all the time at Ugly Mug. Our clients who are true entrepreneurs are facing unique challenges that the person who's at a large corporation on the marketing department, and they're in charge of managing me, and this help, helping me, they're my point of contact, they have a different set of challenges than when I'm getting on a call with someone who is the true founder, owner of the company. And really deeply understanding that is so crucial, because everything that they're investing in our services, for example, I mean, I want to be able to tie that back to dollars in their business so that they can see the return, so that their life is better, and the life that they're providing for their employees is better too. And that is no small task. I don't think it might feel a little different for a large corporation with the chief, CEO or whatever it may be. But I think in the small business space, when you're thinking about your employees' livelihood and you know them deeply and personally, I mean, it just adds that whole other layer of mental weightiness, outside of just the fact that you're still probably trying to show up and be a parent or a spouse, or you're navigating just life in general, in addition to this entire entrepreneurship journey. It is a lot. So I really wanted to come back and touch on that, because I know that that is just so, so, so important. And it is something that oftentimes gets overlooked. I was sharing with Gary before we started the show too, that we have been really diving into the numbers of people who are reaching out to Ugly Mug, and have found that so many people just simply cannot afford our services. And we're having wonderful conversations with these people, and they know that they need us, but they also need a plethora of other support and other types of services in order to get to the point where they can make the investment of working with us. And part of that might be a network. Part of that might be some sort of mastermind group. Part of that might be hiring a CPA. Part of that might be, there could be all of these other things that they might need first before. And so that's kind of the next question that I wanted to lean into today with you, Gary, is if someone is tuning in today and they're like, hey, I'm ready to bet on myself. I've got this idea in hand. I've got a network of people, or I'm going to start working on that network of people. I'm going to learn from the mistakes that you shared today. What are 3 things that they should do to really get started? I know we can kind of draw from some of the mistakes, like having that network, making sure that you're mentally, physically ready to take this on. But what are some of those 3 key things that they should do in order to really kickstart their business and really take this journey seriously?
Well, I'm repeating myself a little, but that product market fit,
Yeah.
and it's an easy thing to say, but it's an incredibly complex puzzle you have to solve.
Yeah.
And so, you've got to figure out that product market fit, and you're rarely right the first time. Steve Blank has created this business canvas, and it's a startup method that you pivot constantly, and you start with that product market fit, and it's a big 11 by or 17 by 30. It's a huge canvas and we teach it a lot, and getting people to get off of there to try to look at their idea from some other viewpoint, and trying to say, okay, saying my market is everybody 18 to 64 is not good enough. I mean, that's okay. So, you can be very successful in a narrow market if there are enough of those that you can reach. Is there enough people in that segment that I can reach with the finances I have now? Because when I'm getting started, I never have enough money. If I do, I'll waste it.
Yeah.
And so is really diving down into, and you may have 2 or 3 different markets. I know when we started Wildwood, we'd never been in the pizza business. We'd been in a lot of restaurant businesses, but we'd never been in the pizza business. It wasn't an item that our household consumed very often. I probably had eaten 10 pizzas in my life when we started this, and I was 61 years old. And so, we read all the data that the National Restaurant Association had, and it said, pizza business, your market are males from the time they get their driver's license till they're 39 years old. That's your market.
Interesting.
My son and I, we're getting ready, and we're, my daughter does our marketing. We tell her all this information. We're, start targeting males 16 to 39, that like sports. And after about 2 weeks of working in there, my son and I said, you know what? We're almost all female. We don't have any tables that come in that are all males. If there's a wife bringing somebody in there, or there's a girlfriend, it's females are our market. So we started marketing to females. And with the help of Ugly Mug, we were able to narrow that down. And so since then, we have increased our prime market, or our target market. Other segments have found us. And so we're much broader, but we missed it on the front. And if we'd have stuck with it, it would have taken us much longer to build the word of mouth business that we needed to grow that. So,
and that kind of plays in on the being willing to pivot again.
Yes. And most businesses are undercapitalized. That's the next thing, is you just don't have enough money. And when I started my first business, I take that back. Every business I've ever owned, I've had partners. And I'm a big partnership person. And the reason you need a partner is either they have more money than you, they're harder working than you, or they've got some skill you don't have. And so when I was getting started in business, I needed somebody that had money. So I had to talk a partner into the project so I could have enough money to get started and sustain our businesses. Now I'm on the other side of that equation. I'm looking for those people that are willing and have a great product and have the knowledge, and they need some capital. So, I don't ever want to be, everybody's not a fit for being a partner. You've got to choose your partners well. And
do you have any advice on choosing a partner if someone is in need of capital or a skill? How do we vet out a good partner versus a not great partner?
Bad partners come from not having specific duties and expectations for each partner. If I've got partners, if I'm the finance partner in a business, don't call me up to make decisions unless it's a big decision. I'm not an operational partner. If I'm the operational partner and you're my financial partner, I don't need your advice on the operation. And so having those predetermined roles, and it's really hard when you're getting started, because you have to have proven yourself somewhere in the marketplace for people to be willing to invest in you. So I had been managing other people's restaurant. It was my mentor. He had a bunch of financial partners. So I patterned my business after him, and he was successful, and we've been successful with that model. Is expectations. Here's your expectations, here's your duties, and here's how we resolve issues. And so we've got all those things worked out in advance in our partnership agreement, and then we form our partnership and operate that way. And I like partnerships. I'm still friends with all my former partners. It's just, it's not a battle. It's just, we have written out how we're going to resolve things. I mean, I like it, but that's what I agreed to in advance. And so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm taking the gamble either way. I'm taking the gamble as the operator, and I'm taking the gamble as the finance side. So
Yeah.
just
Okay. I love that. So
go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. What were you going to say?
And just making sure you have everything in advance. I can't say that enough.
Clear expectations across the board for you and for the partner and each of your roles in the business as a whole. Yeah, I love that. So
how we resolve conflict.
Oh, yes, very key.
Yes.
Very key.
Right.
So one of the steps for kickstarting your business might be or should be understanding the marketplace that you are entering into clearly, and in the midst of that being willing to pivot, like Gary shared. They thought that their target audience was going to be men between the ages of 16 and 39 years old, and it turned out to not be their main segment. Their main segment was actually females. So being willing to pivot in the midst of that, but having clearly identified who is in that marketplace that your product or service is going to be serving. And then step number 2 could be finding a partner. If you are in need of capital, or you are in need of someone who has a skill that you do not currently already have, it might be time to start looking for a partner to come alongside you, help you in that area that you are not very skilled in, or to provide the capital that your business needs to get started. Gary, what would step number 3 be for getting our businesses started?
The third thing is being willing to deep dive into the knowledge of not only business but my product. I need to be an expert at my product, and I need to be starting on a lifetime journey of learning about the nuts and bolts of my business. It doesn't do any good for me to say, I don't like operations, so I'm not going to work on that. Okay, then my business is going to suffer. So I have all the responsibility, right? As if I'm the founder of this company, then, I can't just say, I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that. You like the things you're good at, so just get good at it. The excuse is not valid. Your boss loves to talk about excuses.
Yep. We talk a lot about not having excuses.
Let me tell you.
And those become the exceptions, and then the exceptions become the norm.
Even just being a paying customer, I wouldn't give Wayne an excuse, I promise you, because I've heard it too many times.
Yeah.
Those that are good at excuses are rarely good at anything else, So
yeah.
I'm just like, I don't give excuses,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I love that, y'all. This has been such an informative coffee chat today. We've really taken some time to dive into a lot of those key mistakes that entrepreneurs are making early on in their journey. Sometimes that might include thinking that your product or service is the best thing, that you have no competition. You might be seeking out opinion when you actually need to be seeking out advice when it comes to your product or service that you're thinking about launching. You are focusing in on one of those kind of 3 areas, or you're trying to have all 3, in that you're trying to have the lowest price, you're trying to have the best product, and you're trying to have top of the line service. And you simply cannot have all 3. All 3 will not be true. And so you need to focus in on one of those key areas when you are getting started with your business. So we talked about some of those mistakes among many others. And then Gary gave us 3 key things that we can do to get our business kickstarted. Number 1, being really deeply understanding the marketplace, who your competition is, and being willing to pivot in the midst of that. Because like Gary said, they thought their target audience was going to be men 16 to 39, and it has not been true. And over time, they have learned more and more about the audiences that they're serving and figured out what those different tracks might be, who those different customer avatars are going to be through their marketing. And then step number 2 is going to be, oh my gosh, Gary, I'm forgetting. Step number 2 is finding a partner. That's what it was. Finding a partner and making sure that you clearly identify the expectations. I feel like that was the biggest takeaway from that.
Yes.
You can go to someone and you take money from them all day long, but if you are both not on the same page about how you're going to handle conflict, what each of your roles are within the business, I feel like that could be just a recipe for more conflict or bigger conflict.
Guaranteed. It's guaranteed conflict.
Yeah. So having those clear expectations on roles and how you're going to navigate conflict and all of that good stuff within the partnership are going to be really key to your success there. And then step number 3 is deeply knowing and being willing to start your lifelong journey as a learner within your particular industry. I'm certain that Gary knows everything that there is to do about pizza places and restaurants in general, what to do, what not to do.
Still young. There's a lot I need to learn.
Yeah. He's still learning, but he's learned a lot, I'm sure, over the last many years, all the way starting from graduating and purchasing Louis Cafe in Baton Rouge to now being a co-owner of Wildwood Pizza, y'all. Gary has seen it all. And so I think it's really important. That was probably one of my favorite points for kickstarting, is really deeply knowing and understanding your product or service is going to tremendously help your business be successful. So that is our quick recap for today. Gary, thank you so much for being on the show. I ask every person this at the end of every episode, and it is, what is one thing that you are looking forward to this year? It can be related to entrepreneurship and Wildwood Pizza. It can be related to business acceleration system, or it can be personal related. What's one thing you're looking forward to this year?
That trip where you actually bring that little boy or girl, I can't remember now. Little girl with you. I see the pictures and she's cute as a bug, but one of these days you're going to bring her to Alexandria.
I know, she's got to come. She's got to do the grand old trip, y'all. She needs to come to Ugly Mug HQ. We got to go to Louisiana Central, see Mr. Gary. We got to go to
Wildwood Pizza. Yeah.
Yep, we got to eat some Wildwood Pizza. I'm a fool for every time. I remember when I lived in Alexandria, I'd walk in there and they'd be like, pepperoni pizza and a sweet tea. And I was like, have I come here before?
We got to get you on a better pizza is all I'm saying.
I know. I like the Porky's Revenge. That one's good. But just like a classic pizza and with a side salad too. Y'all, I don't know what Wildwood is doing to the ranch, but it's the best ranch that I've ever had in my entire life. I like, whenever we like fly into town, Alex and I look at each other and we're like, Wildwood for lunch before we get to the office. And we'll usually start with a salad so that we can pretend like we're being good the whole time that we're there.
Healthy.
Yes, healthy. Well, I love that. Thank you again so much, Gary, for being on Coffee Chats today. And thank you to everyone who tuned in, whether you were watching live and you've stuck with us this whole time, or you're catching the replay. Tons of value. Make sure that you share this with your friends who are thinking about starting their entrepreneurship journey. Make sure you save this to come back to for some friendly reminders if you currently are on your entrepreneurship journey. Chock full of great stuff and feedback from Gary. If you want to get in touch with Gary or learn more about Business Acceleration System, you can go to louisianacentral.com and you can find all the information about the program there, especially if you are someone who lives in the central Louisiana area. This is a wonderful resource and program for you to get involved in. You can learn from people firsthand, just like Gary, who are seasoned entrepreneurs, can tell you what to do, what not to do, and guide you through all the steps so that you can not be a part of that 90% of businesses who fail in their first year, right? We want to be on the 10% of businesses that make it out of that first year, right? And then some. So wonderful program and resources there to go and check out. Again, louisianacentral.com, or just leave a comment in here letting us know you want more information and we can point you to the right direction there. Next week, we are taking a break from Coffee Chats, y'all. I'm headed to the beach with my family. No Coffee Chat next week, but we will be back again the week after with more great content for y'all. Same time, same place. Tune in on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Thank you again, Gary, for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it.
It was great seeing you, and it was great talking to you.
Likewise. All right, y'all. We will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.